Oh, there it is.
So hello everyone, lovely to see you, Holger and Rahul. Hello Mark, nice to meet you. Hello Richard, hi George, Frank, Patrick. Just a couple of words that this is being recorded and also we'll start this meeting with a brief guided meditation, and then you're welcome to explore, pose whatever questions, and discuss whatever you'd like to discuss. So just for now, if you could turn your gaze inwardly and rest as you are. Contemplate simply being, meaning I am, whatever that is. Presence, awareness. You don't need to hold on to any images of yourself, any memories. Simply invite yourself to rest as presence, as being. Initially, it may seem that there is an effort to be done, but it's soon revealed that you don't need to really do anything. It's rather just a sinking into presence. Which is your experience anyway. Your experience is made out of presence, awareness. Presence means being. And awareness means knowing. Sometimes we refer to being as amness, the I am or the amness. And we refer to knowing as awareness. Everything that you experience is known, perceived. Like hearing these words, sensing the breath, you perceive the world, meaning images, sounds, and perceptions. And the world that you perceive is made out of your knowingness. So this open field of knowing in this moment knows the hearing of these words, one could say that this open field of knowing takes on the form or the shape of hearing, the activity of hearing. And this open field of knowing also takes on the form of a sensation. The sensation of your feet on the ground, the sensation of warmth, and somehow this awareness, this knowingness, not only knows the sensation, not only knows the hearing, but it also knows that it knows. It is self-knowing. It knows the world via perceptions, and knows the body via sensations. It knows the mind via thoughts. But it knows itself directly. This knowingness, this awareness, is your awareness. It is what you are aware that you're aware and aware that you perceive. When you perceive, it is awareness itself, which is taken on the form of mind or world. Via the senses of the body. Awareness takes on the form of the world. And via the activity of thinking, awareness takes on the form of mind, time, events. You are the stillness, the peace of being, the unmoved and unmovable aspect. And when you move, It's creation. Take on the form of thoughts, perceptions, and sensations. But your movement doesn't alter that which you are, which is this transparent, aware presence. All the religious traditions and the spiritual traditions aim for the revelation of our true nature. The end of the illusion of separation. The finality of ignorance, the end of the unhappiness. But as long as you imagine yourself to be a person in time and space, you're mistaking yourself to be an appearance. And you're overlooking your reality as universal consciousness. The reality which is formless, absolute, which right now perceives this perception. Any questions? Anything you'd like to discuss? Please make sure you unmute your mic. And welcome to turn on your video. Any questions? Hello, Holger.
Hello, Magdi. Not a question, but gratitude for this island of sanity, which is, it's just so good to be here. One of the last satsangs meditations you spoke about hypnosis, and it just seems that it's everywhere. This idea of this separation and this delusion of, I don't know. It's good to be here.
Yeah, Francis often used to say that the biggest religion on the planet is the religion of separation and ignorance and identification with body-mind. So yes, this is quite prevalent. But what matters above all is the quality of our understanding and the assiduity, the perseverance, the dedication, the love, and our application in understanding and living our understanding, and sharing our understanding when if it speaks to us, and being kind and loving and living according to the divine principles of love and intelligence and compassion. Because we are not separate from the world, we're not separate from others. Whichever way we live, whichever way we think and act, we're not isolated. It's in direct connection with the totality. To be clear about that which we truly love, not to give power to the mind and go into the mind and use the mind to guide you spiritually. You have to trust your understanding about consciousness, about the non-dual reality, and explore how does that live itself? How is that? How does that manifest in life? It's an inner process. It's not so much acting in a certain, according to some principle, phenomenal principle of goodness. It's not about becoming a Mother Teresa, for example. It's an inner alignment, adjustment, sometimes. You follow?
Yes, thank you. I do. An inner adjustment.
Yeah.
And it's not about changing the outer, like performing,
Right.
but to see from where I'm, what I assume myself to be, where I identify.
Yes. Yes. And most often it goes under the radar, you know. But then something may appear to you, some event in your life, some conversation, something may appear to you that may bring up those conditions, those definitions that you're holding on to, you see. And that's a good opportunity to explore.
So my suffering arises because I identify in a certain way.
Yeah, if you trace back your unhappiness, first it may appear, oh, I'm unhappy because he's saying he's saying this to me, or she's doing this to me, or the world is doing that to me. You see, initially initially the mind identifies a problem, but if you trace it back further, you find that we are trying to protecting ourselves. Ourself, but what ourself? What self? Because awareness, the reality that perceives right now, the I that is right now, doesn't need protection. You only need to protect something. So protecting the body from the cold in the winter. We're protecting our car from too much sunshine by putting it in the garage. So we're protecting something for a good reason. So when you are protecting yourself as something, then you have to have assumed that you, meaning there's only one you, whatever it is that is you right now, this moment, is the reality that perceives, the reality that is, the reality that knows I am, that knows it perceives, that knows it understands, that knows it knows, right? Now,
yes.
When that reality somehow is then assumed to be a thing, then yes, then we're protecting it. We have to protect that. It's the most valuable thing. It's more valuable than our car. Consciousness is more valuable than the car. So now consciousness is something, it's body, mind, it's memories, it's images, whatever you identify with. But because the identification is a superimposition upon your reality, it's a limitation. It's trying to objectify you. It's a diminution, contraction. Immediately, there is the sense of contraction and the need to liberate the contraction, which both process of defending and seeking. This is what we refer to as unhappiness. Right?
Yes, and never fulfilled.
Yes.
Never happy, because always something missing, something.
Sure. We're happy in little moments, very tiny moments of, I got the raise I wanted, for example, boom, a moment of, but this happiness is just because the desire is eclipsed at that moment. But the source of the desire continues. Well, now I want the office in the corner. I want the top floor. I want the top floor office. I want to be more popular. I want to have lots of people who love me, whatever. So the source of is always some form of identity. So we go to presence. We go to the understanding that the I that is the reality of my experience and the reality of whatever it is that I experience is not a phenomenon, it's not an object, it's not something. It's this transparent, aware presence. Whatever, the words don't matter. But you go to presence, to being, which is your direct experience. This is your most direct experience. Is that transparency, is that presence, that beingness. Right?
Yes, so simple.
It's simple, and then the mind says, well, that feels really great. I should make sure I have lots of that in my day. I need to figure a way of bottling it and formulating it and having it. And then yes, it is simple, of course. So then the mind comes and lays its layers. It comes and says, okay, good. You're doing good now, but don't forget, I'm here. And listen to me now. What we need to do is you need to blah, 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 blah. Right.
Have a practice. We need a practice.
Yes, practice. We need, we got it. Now we're somebody important, blah, blah, blah. Or we had it yesterday, now we lost it. What's happening? All this is the mind. But so yes, but again, as you said, it's simple. The simplicity is always there. So the mind arises, but it arises in presence. Like this conversation right now. This conversation doesn't disturb awareness. So you just say, interesting. Yeah, there is this monkey business going on. But there's also the undisturbed, unmoved awareness. Who cares about the images on the screen? When you go, you sit by a river, and the river is, whatever it's dancing, whichever way it's dancing. It doesn't matter how it's dancing. When you look at the clouds, it's never the same cloud. It's the same thing with the mind and the feelings. Who cares about it? So we learn not to give too much power to the feelings and because we are habituated to be the servants of the feelings, the puppets of the feelings. right? It's a habit.
Yeah. This, it's like almost like a slavery.
Yes, slavery, yes, slavery.
Yeah.
But we have the capacity of realization, of the understanding about reality, the understanding. We have the capacity of the understanding about our experience. Let's see. Patrick, you wrote, you want to ask about spiritual bypassing. My life situation is the result of my conditioning, containing dysfunction. Do I need to focus on not getting caught up in the drama, or do I take steps to get away from dysfunction towards things that bring me joy? In other words, do I look at the situation as my teacher, wait until the lesson is learned and do the spiritual work? Or do I take steps towards changing my life situation in the direction of love, peace, and beauty? You can do both, Patrick. Oh, hey, Patrick, yes. So it depends, if the dysfunctional situation that you are experiencing is calling you in a big way to take a look at it and to do something about it, then you can follow that inner calling, you see. But if there is some sort of drama that somehow we are still carrying on in our mind, something that is past. It's not alive now. The fact that it's past does not mean that it has not affected us. That does not mean that there aren't memories within the body-mind about it. But if it's not currently active, currently it's not possible to be completely drama-free or free from some sort of psychological stuff. It's not possible. It's there. We grow up from young children with all sorts of craziness, some craziness. You don't need to stay in a situation that's unhappy. But at the same time, You cannot find happiness in a situation. And there are situations that you enjoy, friends, being with friends that have more understanding, they share your love for truth, they have a similar interest in you. It's usually not in the family, it's not in the family. But again, depending on the situation or relationship to bring you joy, it will be short-lived, it will not be long-lived. The main lesson that you need to learn is about consciousness, about your reality, about the transparency of being. Not to assume yourself to be the body-mind. And the world is just consciousness appearing as the world, right? I mean, the world. It's not that there is another reality called the world out there somewhere. The world is how consciousness is choosing to appear to your particular mind in a way, in order for you to come to your understanding about consciousness. Even when life appears to you in an unhappy way, it's an invitation for you to also explore and investigate the root cause of unhappiness. And the root cause of unhappiness is never in the world. It's not about what's happening in the world, how the government is acting, how your neighbors are acting, how your partner is acting. It's never out there. It's always in what you assume yourself to be, what you assume consciousness to be. But I would follow my inner voice about the situation that I'm in. If it's unhappy and I explore as best I can, I can't figure it out, and it's not shifting, then I would definitely look for a different situation. You don't need to kick a dead donkey, You can't figure it out, you let it go, you move on. You're not meant to figure everything out, every experience that you have that's sometimes people around you are acting stupidly. That's all, they're just being stupid. You don't need to do an analysis, complicated analysis about the situation. And yes, I think it's a good idea not to get caught up in the drama. It's so easy to get caught up in the drama. I mean, look at the gossip magazines, right? It's a huge, huge business. Because they don't have drama in their life. So they say, okay, I can find some drama around. More or less, We love the drama, but in the same time, we say, oh my God, I don't want to caught up in the drama. I don't care so much for the drama. But it's around you anyways, there's drama everywhere. But the drama, it's only your drama if you choose to sort of get in that canoe. I mean, to a certain extent, of course, there are situations where it comes upon you in a big way. Then you figure a way to get beyond it and get out of it, Yeah, I agree. I think I would take steps to get away from dysfunctional situations. But you don't need to move towards things that bring you joy. Just simply move away from this functional situation, because the joy is the joy of being, right? You don't want to move towards things that bring you joy. No, don't complicate it. Simply things that are dysfunctional, and you can get away from them. You don't need to be part of that rodeo. Yeah. Take the next exit. You talk about doing the spiritual work, we are this, we are that which we seek. So the spiritual work is more like doing less and less. There is this monk that lived next to the village, and in the village, this young woman got pregnant, and so in the villages she had no husband and no boyfriend that people know about. So the people in the village, they accused the monk of being the father. So they bring the baby to the monk, and they say, oh, you blah 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 did this to this girl, this is your son, it's your baby, you have to take care of the baby. And he said, oh, okay. So he took the baby, he raised the baby. Baby was 3-4 years old, whatever, raised the baby. Then at some point, there was the fellow said, no, I'm the father. So the villagers came up to the monk, says, oh, no, this is not your baby, it's not your baby. So the monk says, oh, okay, and gave them back the child. Our true nature is mirror-like, like a mirror. The mirror reflects everything. But the mirror that reflects the water, or it doesn't get wet, or if it reflects a fire, it doesn't get wet, burned, right? Our true nature is like mirror-like. And life is the Buddhists, they say about emptiness, you know. I don't like the word emptiness too much, but I like that life is like a huge playground, you know. It's just your playground. It has, when you leave the playground, when the child leaves the playground stops to exist. And then when you run to the playground, then you have all the sandbox and play with the horses or whatever you play with, you know, we play with in the playground. We don't have to figure out the playground, you know, you just play in the playground. But we play considerate games, not just bully. I used to play chess with some friends in college. I remember this one guy. He was a very good chess player, but he was awful to play with. He always wanted to win, you know. After a while, I stopped playing chess. I mean, because I noticed people that take it too seriously. You see what I mean, Patrick? Yes?
Yes, I do. It's just that sometimes I don't know if, because I feel like I've come a long way, but my circumstances haven't gotten better.
Mm.
Internally, I feel like a different person, or not even a person.
Yeah.
But externally, I'm still dealing with the same stuff.
Yes, I get it. That's part of the work too, Patrick. It's part of the path of alignment and harmonizing. So in your life, in the external world, whatever, you know, it's actually also internal. You want to a certain extent some harmony, you know, not like perfect, you know, not it's like a, you know, the Swiss clock, you know, not like that, but overall a harmony, you know. So sometimes it takes a long time for that ship to sort of, you know, move and change the direction by a few degrees, you know. But it's part of the journey.
Yeah, maybe trust the process and focus on the internal harmonies, and the external harmonies follow.
Yeah, yes, but also yes. I mean, the external and internal are not separate, but sometimes in our life we say no to certain things and we say yes to certain things. You see, so it's important to see from where you are making your decisions. Are you making your decisions from a sense of worry or concern or fear or trying to please or knee jerk reaction? So if you can become more and more attuned to from where you're saying yes to some things, no to some things, from where you, so that you don't nourish the fear, you don't nourish the worries, you don't maintain. So the trust is first is a trust in God, trust in life, that how our life is unfolding it's also God, you see. So the trust is there, but your habits may be tainted. How we decide to do things may be tainted by some old patterns, some old ideas, some old notions, you know. Anything that we do from sense of like a worry, a fear, a concern, is going to carry in it our fears and our concerns. Is going to manifest that, just because we're coming from that, we're operating from that place. And every little step that you take, you know, it's always in the moment. When you say in the moment, no, I don't think I'm going to go on that trip. You don't think so? I'm gonna stay, which is maybe against your feeling. I gotta go in order to please, you know, somebody. For example, I'm just speaking randomly here. That's powerful. It's those little steps. And so there are quite a few little steps you don't notice, but they shift the direction. You see, and keep in mind that if there is unhappiness within you, there is unhappiness in the relationship. It's not possible to be in a relationship and you're unhappy and the other is happy. No. If you are in a relationship, you're losing and the other person is winning, there is a shared unhappiness. Your unhappiness is expressed in losing. Their unhappiness is expressed in winning. Because in happiness, there isn't a losing and a winning. In unhappiness, there is a winning and losing. So, life is a very good laboratory for the alignment of our understanding within our life and our being. You follow?
Yeah.
There are some situations that some patterns that we have that are old patterns. They seem to have like deep roots. But happiness is always in the freshness of being. It's not holding on to any position. It's very flexible, alive. It's not a pattern. Happiness and patterns It's a different thing.
So in a way that the patterns are teaching me where I'm still attached to identity.
And identify, yes. In a way, I wouldn't say that. I would say that the pattern is the you, is the me. The me, the sense of me, is basically a bunch of patterns and beliefs. And it's not like there is a me who is having patterns. The patterns that's what the sense of personal self is made out of, these bundles of feelings and images and behaviors. There isn't a me who is attached. There's some belief structures and feeling structures. That's what we refer to as the me. But yes. So these patterns are how the sense of separation, of course, also at the feeling level, how the sense of separation is still still alive in your somatic, in your, and of course affects your decisions and your life, you see. But the understanding, which is not, it's beyond the mind, the understanding about freedom of being and the transparency of being and the reality of consciousness, and the non-localization of consciousness, the non-phenomenal aspect of consciousness. It's not local, it's not personal, doesn't belong to the body mind, it's not located in the brain. The reality of that, which is the reality of that which perceives, the reality of I, that is alive, that is beyond all, that is the freedom, that there is not possible for any patterns to hold on to that, because you can't create anything in empty space. There's nothing for you to sort of pin down and say, and that's your reality. And it's the reality of everything. It's actually the reality of sensations and feelings and beliefs. They're empty. There isn't a personal subject. You follow?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of what I meant by spiritual work. Like to see, to go inward and meditate on where these patterns are triggering me into identification.
Yes. Yes, and in presence, as presence, the power that thoughts have is the power that you give them. But in being identified as a person, then thoughts have, they already have the power. You're already in the prey of thoughts and feelings. But as presence, thoughts are, feelings are, they're appearances, right? What
Yeah.
power? What power does an appearance have?
Only the power you give it.
Yeah, the power you give it.
Like the screen is not affected by the movie. The sky is not affected by the clouds.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so when we live as the sky, we live as the screen and not as the image, then we respond to situations whenever there are some situations that knock on your door. Then you open the door, hello. But there are some situations that you hear of, something is happening downtown LA. Okay. You don't need to get on that horse and make a me story out of it and take a position and an opinion and blah, 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 blah. I mean, so I mean, like then you're living just appropriately to the situation that is availing itself to you, including there may be some situation that's already existing that is unhappy. And then you explore ways out of that, ways beyond that. Sometimes it's very simple. Sometimes you have to negotiate. We don't know. Every situation is different. But above all, you remain as the transparency of being, nothing at stake. I mean, as soon as there's something at stake for consciousness, you have somehow downloaded consciousness into some material reality that can be impacted by whatever. Right? You see what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Thank you so much for
Okay.
exploring this with me.
Yeah. Very lovely to be with you all. Thank you, Holger and George. Mark, nice to meet you, Mark. Hello, Rahul. Hi, Frank. Patrick. Hey, Mark. Richard. Salut, Shiva.
Thank you, everyone.
And Tara. My love. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you, Maggie.